Hey guys, it's your girl Eb, and I want to welcome you back to More Than Conversation, where we do life together
and talk about it.
Today, once again, I am here with the most fantastic co-host in the world. Can y'all please introduce yourselves?
Yeah, you see, it's your boy Ash. Take it easy.
You gonna go, bro?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll go. But yeah, you know, it's your boy Trey. And if we did it my way, we do this every day. Peace.
Period.
My name is Lexton.
He have like the driest,
It's professional.
Anyway, how are you guys doing today? What's new? What's good in the hood?
What's new?
I'm tired. I need sleep.
Felt.
Yeah. My bad. I just thought it was a super corny joke. It's
Well,
fine.
I thought I would have gotten some sleep, but the newest episode of Snowfall is out, so I'm gonna need to catch that.
Before people spoil it for you.
No, Twitter is gonna spoil it. I'm not going on Twitter until after I've seen it because I just can't. Them people spoil everything.
I know it's so hard for you, right?
I know. Seriously?
What's up with all, like, we having a lot of
I
turbulence.
just don't
to the beginning of the
understand. Like,
podcast.
first of all, anyway, I
saying.
know everything that's going on in Euphoria right now. I
If
don't
she
even watch
wants
it
to learn
because of
how to
Twitter.
make cocaine, she can make it, bro.
What? That's not even.
Ain't that
what-
what Snowfall is about?
Bro,
no,
what are you-
but that
no, why
he
you
was
saying
talking
all
about
weird
staying
things?
off Twitter.
Oh, okay.
If you're hearing this part, it's because I already had to cut a lot out, and I need somewhere to start to edit at. So here we are. So today, we're continuing on in our series of the sacrifice and the promise. And today, we're going to be talking about the part of Jesus that I really enjoy, and that's his life. I mean, I know his death is super important because of the reasons why he died for us and sacrificed his life, but his life was equally as important. The things he said, the things that he did for 33 years was amazing. So I just want to talk about that, if that's okay with you guys.
Of course.
Okay.
So where do we start?
Hold on. You didn't get, what does he call it? Consent? There's an adjective before that, like
Mutual?
active. Is something?
You know what? You said
Mutual-
adjective. I don't even know that's adjective.
Isn't the adjective? We're not going back to school right now.
Adverb.
Adverb is the.
Is it?
Anyway, yeah. So
We got degrees. That's all that
I
matters.
think we would start at. Let's start at the very beginning. Sorry, Sound of Music. I had to.
Okay, so is that the conception or
I mean, we could start at the conception. If you are unaware, Jesus was put into a virgin's womb. An angel appeared to her and said, "Hey, you finna have a baby." And I can't imagine what she was thinking because she was about to get married and she was indeed a virgin. So that's just a miracle in and of itself. And she conceived Jesus. And at the time when she was about to have Jesus, I believe there was like a law or something where they were like killing boys under 2 or something like that. And they went to Bethlehem. And he was born in a manger.
Humble beginnings.
yeah.
He was born in a manger. And
I mean, you could kind of understand why people find it hard to believe, right?
yeah.
Someone with a modern thinking and taking something of their own understanding,
Right.
which is what God tells us not to do. But I mean, like, still, we human, so it's understandable why that would be like, she said what now?
Exactly.
And imagine Joseph. Like, first of all, we ain't even consummate this marriage yet, and you pregnant? And then you want me to believe that
It was,
God gave you this
like,
baby.
It's either the greatest like
Bro,
the greatest thing that ever happened or the greatest scandal ever in life.
Ever,
And it
bro.
wasn't, and there was nothing
Because you know
scandalous
why?
about it.
No, we speaking on all points. I'm speaking on the terms of
No, yeah,
people
yeah.
who think like this. And hey, I get you. I understand. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not judging you. I'm not putting you at any fault. But I mean, like, yes, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy because, you know, certain stories about what God has done and Jesus on the whole sounds mind-boggling because, like,
It's not
Yeah,
natural.
like watching a
'cause, like,
sea pot.
you know,
Yeah.
a baby is coming out of this woman and she,
You never had sex before.
yeah, so, you know what I mean? So
It's like,
It's-
how you
it's
big
like-
up?
it's like, huh?
How?
Like, you could imagine Joseph?
Bruh.
Joseph was just like,
Joseph. I'm sure that's how they used to pronounce it back then. Joseph.
Why you so
How
sure?
are you sure?
Why you so sure?
you know nothing, Jon
Because they
Snow.
say Shabbat.
Shabbat does not mean that they say Yosef.
They don't pronounce certain the first letters properly. So
Shabbat is SH. Where did you get J and anyway?
G for
Moving
Y.
on, because you know,
Joseph.
we don't have. There's not much recorded in the Bible about Jesus' childhood, except for when he got lost, quote unquote, and in reality, he was in the temple teaching, and your boy roll up on him and say, "Excuse me, miss, did you not know that I was in my father's house?" Please go back and read the Gospels for yourself. We just given rundowns, and I wouldn't say we're gonna modernize them in a way where, like, we diminish the importance of these stories. It's just that we just putting them in layman's terms. But if you want more details, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are
That's the bed that I lay on.
they are the Gospels, and they share the life and death of Jesus. So yeah, he got lost, and Mary found him, and she was worried and stuff
He
like
got
that.
lost.
Not he got lost.
They
They
lose him
thought
behind.
they
They
thought
lost track of him.
they
No.
thought he was
Yeah.
lost.
But the funny thing is, how many days were they traveling for before they realized?
I don't think they were traveling. I think they were somewhere in a city for like a festival. But also another great thing to help with the life of Jesus is The Chosen. It is an amazing show that shows you the life of Jesus and him picking his disciples and gives you like backstories on them and stuff like that, which is amazing because sometimes we tend to feel like Jesus is just this
Myth.
not even a myth, but like we don't realize how human he was. I didn't realize how human Jesus was until I watched the show, and I was brought to tears almost every episode because it just made him more real
Yeah,
to me.
a lot of people think it's just a legend. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it happened, but it's been boosted and this, that, and the next.
Right.
But there's been prophecies before he was born, people dying to proclaim what happened. Like, you know, that's a lot. And come on now, that's for it to not be true, you would have to do a lot to hold those lies. That's like
Who have time to make up
Yeah,
a
like-
whole book and a whole narrative
off
of a
lies,
man
off
that
a
ain't
straight-
even
off-
real?
off a straight
That's
lie.
how I look at it. Like, we trust and believe in a lot more things than we do believe the story of Jesus sometimes. Like, we trust that the walls of this apartment that we're in will never cave in. How you know that? You ain't know who built this. You don't know how they built it. You don't even got no proof.
Please, people believe more in aliens than the thought that Jesus was a real man.
Which
Right.
is true. Yeah,
And
they
he
do.
ate,
They do.
drank, slept, and all
Slapped.
of that. So basically, there's not much on Jesus' childhood or his
Turn the other
upbringing.
cheek.
And then
Mm-hmm.
it's all started where he changed that water into wine. And people that love alcohol love to use that
Mm-hmm.
statement to water down the fact that they drink, but that's besides the point. Yeah, he changed water into wine, man, and I think that's pretty amazing. If anybody ever come to me from one wedding was like, "Boy, I ain't gonna lie, this man who was there wasn't no more wine," and he literally he must see blink, and it turned into like wine, and it was better than the best wine at the wedding. How sweet!
Hearing that now today, what would you do?
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not drinking.
Lex, why are you so quiet? What are you pondering on? You look like you are in such deep thought right now.
The thinker.
I just listening. And it's like a circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just seen like a bunch of, what these are?
No.
Tangents. All around the circle.
There aren't any tangents. We just walking through the beginning stages, and now we getting into his first miracle.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is a part of his life. His first miracle was the fact that he changed water into wine, and that's when he started walking out the rest of his journey. At this point, he was already months. He wasn't far away from being persecuted and stuff like that when he did his first miracle. Before this, he was just chilling,
Working.
working. He was a carpenter. I did not know that. I really didn't know that. But he was a carpenter. Like, he was a regular man that grew up normal, respecting his mommy and daddy, probably communicating with God like all the time. If y'all had to choose out of the life of Jesus, one thing that stood out for you, what is one thing that stood out for you? I can start with you, Lex. What's one thing that stood out for you in Jesus' life?
Well, I would say two things, probably.
Mm-hmm.
How committed he was. Because you understand that some of the stuff he was doing, you had to be so bold. You had to go against the grain so much. Like, it's hard to be that sure and be that committed. Sometimes even when we know things are right, we don't even stick to it that much. But he stick to it throughout his ministry up until the moment of his death. Like, that's locked in. That's 10 toes. That's locked in right there.
That's love.
And then I would say bringing along the followers, because like now we kind of feel like we have to do everything on our own. And, if people ain't all the way on board, or if they're not at a certain level, like, just toss them to the side. Jesus had the same people in his circle up until he died.
Yeah.
Like, he even knew Judas was going to betray him, but, it was still a part of what had to be done.
Right.
But Jesus brought people with him to share in his experience, and like, he built them up. 'Cause imagine where they would have been if they had never met Jesus, or if they never participated in his ministry, or never get to experience him up close as friends. Like, Jesus had friends.
Like, these just wasn't people. They were more. He wasn't just their teacher. That was that was his friend. So when you say Jesus had a normal life, he was a child. He had to obey his parents. He had to get along with his siblings. Right.
He had to go through all the stuff. That's why
work.
Even his ministry didn't start until they recognize you as a man, like at 30. So he went through the normal stuff. He didn't jump over anybody.
Hurdles.
He went
had
through
no royal treatment.
He went through the process like everybody else, and then the friends he chose. He stuck with them until the bitter end. He stayed committed to his goal until the bitter end. I mean, that's the two things that jump out to me.
Powerful. What about you, Trey?
Well, I would say more so the miracles he did, because they're all unbelievable, but to be able to if you're living in those times, to witness it and be a part of the legend, like, for example, when he fed everybody with the fish and loaves of bread, like, you see a child come up with a small basket, and then you just see a big crowd, everybody walking out with food, and you get up there and all you see is 5
what's
loaves of bread
crazy about that
2
story
fish,
is
right?
the 5,000 was just men. It did not count the women and children.
Exactly. That's another thing too. That because even Jesus called his mother woman, which is like, I guess that's just how they did it back then. But that was a side note. But yeah, so just like, and when he mixed the spit and the dirt and brought back the man's sight, because I mean, he was blind, so he probably didn't see it coming. But others just looking like, is this man crazy? Like,
True.
You know, even the guy who did it on social media the other day, we think he's crazy.
Yeah, but he's not Jesus, so he don't got no miracle working spit. So
what I'm saying is, even back then, bro, everybody must have been looking like, this man is crazy, but it works. This man is like legit a miracle worker, like seeing the most amazing stuff ever.
yeah,
I would have liked that. I think.
that's. What about you, babe?
Is he crazy if it works? Is someone crazy if something works?
No.
Are they crazy if it doesn't work?
They are crazy if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think you could be crazy whether it work or not.
True.
Like some people go to extreme lengths. That's just crazy. But on doing miracles, like Jesus leave us the power to do that. You
True.
know? So I mean, like even people thought Jesus was crazy too, right? Like, who are you to be saying these off the wall things? Who are you to be forgiving people's sins? Like, you're crazy. You can't forgive nobody's sins.
That's true. They was really just like, excuse me.
Like even the Pharisees and the
But
priests want to have problems
Yeah, but I
with
mean,
Jesus.
like, they read, like, was it the Quran?
The Torah.
Torah. They read the Torah, and it speaks about him. So when he comes and tell you that that's who he is,
And he tell them,
what's the
y'all
problem?
talking about y'all love my daddy or something.
what's the problem?
I know. He said something to them about that. Y'all saying y'all love people or something, and y'all ain't even accepting me, and I'm the one who he said he would send, and yet still.
It didn't come in the package they wanted.
That's how we are with blessings when it don't look like how we want it to look. We just like,
That ain't it.
Exactly.
dang it.
My
Talking to Mike, babe, please.
what stood out to me with Jesus' life was like how he interpreted and how he talked and relayed his message to people. And let's say if someone asked him, I'll call it a silly question because they tell us no question is stupid or dumb. But when people ask him silly questions, he replies almost in like a parable. And then when he tells his stories about people who are curious about his teachings and just how they're supposed to live life, he replies in a parable. And even growing up, my friends tell me I speak in parables or whatever. But I mean, like, not even trying to do it, but I mean, like, that really like, all of the parables always catch my attention. They always caught my eye. Like, growing up in school and just reading them, not even just for assignments, but like interpreting them and trying to figure out what they actually meant and the deeper meaning behind them. It really like paints a perspective to say like, okay, wow, like this is some serious stuff, and it means a lot. With the seeds, the sowing the seed, with the shepherd and the lamb and the sheep,
That's a big one too.
with the Levite and the Samaritan, like all of these are really powerful stories, like each and every one, and it just shows you like the literacy that Jesus was walking around with, because like you can't catch him slipping because he's gonna, you know.
You have an answer.
Yeah, like he was spitting game on them, on people. Like you can't approach him. But back then you couldn't approach him sideways, because when he would answer you, your mind would be so mind boggled. You'd be like, I'm silent now. Like especially people who was having mouth with him, because obviously there were like a lot of chirpers, like they were yapping. A lot of birds back then
Trying to trip him up.
Yeah, was trying to come at him the wrong way. And when he replied, like how he replied, it probably caught them so off guard that their whole perspective just took a 180
Brain
and
all
silenced them.
kapunkalap.
Yeah, yeah. So that part, like I really like that part of his life, like how he was as a person and just how he relayed a message. But then again, like what more do you expect from God?
In flesh, right?
Yeah, right.
That man had influence, boy.
For
What
me,
else would you expect?
I think what stood out to me, or what stands out, is how human Jesus was. And of course, he was man. He was God made flesh. But like where it says that Jesus wept, because he had feelings,
He's vulnerable.
or when I don't think it was fair, but when he was like, take this cup from me, but anyway, let your will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew what he had to do. Or like when he went in the temple and threw them out and turned tables over.
Because they was
Jesus
gambling.
is the original
Yeah.
table turner, okay? He's the original table flipper. So it's just like a lot of moments in the Bible just show that he was actually human. The way he loved on his disciples,
Exactly.
and the way he did relationship with them, the way he too had to fast, because a lot of us believers think we above fasting. Jesus himself fasted for 40 days and 40 nights at that. That's how long the body could go without food. That long. He was tempted just like all of us are. So it's like, I feel like Jesus could be the gap between us and God, because he understands what we go through on a daily basis. So he gives us that much more grace, because he knows exactly the feelings we feel in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that part for me. And I would have to say the parables as well, because they tell such a detailed story. And if you really just sit down and read them and analyze them, they are so deep. Everyone loves the prodigal son. We all prodigal sons out here. And how Ashton mentioned, like, the shepherd boy, the shepherd and the lamb, like, that stood out for me a lot when I was reading through John, and it just made me realize that I should always be in a place where I could hear Jesus's voice. If he's the shepherd, like, you always need to make sure the shepherd in your vicinity, so when he say go this way or time to go this way, you ready to go.
Yeah,
So
because the wolves gonna be lurking.
yeah, but yeah, and then in The Chosen, Jesus was funny. I can imagine that Jesus had a sense of humor. Like, that show literally makes you really see that this man walk, talk, laugh, play. Like, he did all the stuff that we do. And the Sermon on the Mount, that's where he just drag everybody. This man's was like, first of all, y'all talking about dealing with adultery. From you look at another woman, that's it. You're committed. What? Huh?
I mean, I could kind of see it because
No, I mean, I get it, but it was just like,
he was speaking directly to how people are. Because a lot of us, like, we might be impulsive, but the impulse didn't start with your nervous system. It started in your head. You had a thought and you decided to act on it. Most of the things that are now that we see, they were a thought first. Like, nobody just was like, let me draw, and then just come out with a 747.
It
No,
starts, yeah, it starts with
you
the
thought
eyes.
you thought
Adultery
about
starts with your eyes. Yeah.
it all started with your thoughts, man. You control you think about something, and then you try your best to make it a reality. Like, what you have in your head, you speak it, and then you act on it. But what you were saying with how he is talking to people and stuff, and how human he was, I mean, I really just think that go back to relationships. Like, part of the reason too why Jesus come to love people, like, I think sometimes people forget how much he loved everybody, apart from the death, right? Because that's the greatest sacrifice. But his life was also about loving people.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's the relationships. Like, people was following the laws or whatever, and it's like, oh, as long as I stay from this line to that line, or I stay within these boundaries, like, great, everything perfect. But they was forgetting the relationship with God. They was forgetting the relationship with people, with one another. So, not only did he sacrifice at the end with his life, but throughout his entire life, it was building relationships with people. And that didn't mean, he was always perfect and he always talked in a soft voice, or he never got angry, or he was always passive. To live Jesus' life, like, you have to be tough. You have to be
Bold and respectful.
you have
Bold
to
but respectful.
you're not passive. You're
Yeah.
aggressive about things. You firm in stuff. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it aggressive. I just say he was firm. Like, aggressive is like, "Arr." But when you say firm, like I would say assertive. Like, he was just, yo, this is what it is,
yeah, I
And
mean,
and
that's
this is
that.
what it ain't.
it's all of
Yeah.
that. And but the love though, like to be committed to love somebody is very hard.
The man was dripping
It's-
with love.
It's very hard to
Yeah.
commit to loving somebody.
He had an essence around him. The man had a whole squad to the point where it got so big that your boy get jealous of him. I said,
What was great, what I love about Jesus and him having disciples was firstly because he needed them to be fishers of men, which is what we're all called to do. But he also needed them to be able to tell his story. He needed people to get close enough to him to learn from him so they can know what to do after he's gone. So he had to start building his legacy with those men. But it also cancels the I don't need anybody else but
Exactly.
God. It cancels that out entirely because he was God in the flesh, and he still had friends, and he didn't have them because he needed those men and women around him. He needed that circle. It wasn't a whole plethora of people, but he had his secure group of people that he could trust, but who also trusted him. Because I could imagine it was controversial for them knowing what they know and still having to trust him anyway, like how he filled the net up with fish when he met who it was he met Simon. Was it Simon and Andrew? I can't remember, but they was out all night trying to catch fish. They ain't catch no fish. This man who I ain't never meet before on the beach chilling, giving one little sermon, and he can tell me cast my net out one more time.
On the other side.
I done
or
been out
something,
here
right?
all night trying to catch fish. All night, I ain't catch no fish. In the same water you see me coming out of. And you want me to put my net out again? And just like that, all the fish.
Nets bursting.
Exactly. But the thing about it is, I feel like even today, a lot of us get faced with Jesus in that way. We trying to do, and it don't work. And Jesus just be like, do it one more time. But we don't trust him enough to do it again. But that's
Because we feel like we know since we already did.
like, I done do this before 10 times, and I cannot. Like, why would this time be any different? And then even the disciples, the most mind-blowing thing for me is the fact that he walk on water, right?
Yeah.
You know how much trust you have to have with Jesus to come out the boat and walk on the water with him? That is
Walking on faith.
Jesus was doing things that were not humanly possible. But another thing that I appreciated about his life is he still also stressed the importance of prayer. Every time you turn around, where Jesus at? Somewhere by himself on one mountain or something,
Getting that time.
praying.
Yep.
If he needed to pray, what do you think about us? If he still had the fast, he still had friends, he had family, he built a
Community.
Church.
community. Yeah, he built a community, and that was important. And he had a little couple who we know was the real, ride or dies. You feel me? But no hate to Judas. I know, cause Judas somebody had to betray him. Somebody had to be. I think Judas would have been forgiven, but he ain't really. But we ain't gonna go down that road either.
He just went about it the wrong way afterward.
I just think Jesus is outstanding. I think the ministry that he built was outstanding.
Outstanding.
I thank God for the ministry that was created, for the Holy Spirit being left.
Yeah.
And, Jesus' life is supposed to be the model. That's our standard that we supposed to look at. Like, turning the other cheek and will not. If you ever feel like getting dragged, just go read Matthew chapter 5 to 7. That's the Sermon on the Mount. Because he didn't come to, what is it, abolish the law, but he came to fulfill it, right? For all those who think Jesus came and died and then boom, everything in the Old Testament is null and void. Nope, it still matters.
That's what I thought.
No, some things changed, but a lot of it is still the same. Like you could learn a lot about who you should be and a lot about the characteristics you should have in the Old Testament, and you get better understanding of a lot of other things. That's why the Old Testament, I think the whole Bible, just in its entirety, is equally, each book or whatever is equally as important. Because, yeah.
When we reflect on Jesus' life, we should also ask, what would Jesus do? But we already know what would Jesus do. He lived life. He communed with friends. He prayed. He showed emotions when he was experiencing it, when it was strong for him, because we as regular people, we tend to ball them up and hold it in with ourselves until the pressure bursts and
Precious burst pipe.
our senses all over the place and we ain't thinking straight. But he showed emotion. He made time for himself, self-care. So when we try to reflect on Jesus and him being a person, and we ask the question, what would Jesus do? It's a whole plethora of things that we can like piece and dissect each part to try to just become better people and better Christians ourselves. Because all of the things that he did, it's not that deep, you know. Like people make it seem like, oh, it's so crazy. But I mean, like, those are things and simple things that we can actually put the time in to just better ourselves each and every day. Just small steps. Taking time out, praying, communicating with friends. Basically, putting your trust in people, making a team. Like self-care, peacetime. Like all of these things are building blocks for a better life and just being a better you.
Why am I doing this? Okay, you could go. I could say what I want to say after you.
I just remember something about what he's saying about the parables. Jesus make you, wrong. I said it the wrong way. When Jesus answered you in a parable, it's because he wants you. Well, I think it's a representation of you need to seek God. Like, when you get a parable, it's not that the answer is like just boom in front of your face, right? It's that you have to think through it. You have to seek out the answer. You have to think. You have to like try and reach closer to what God would want you to do. You have to seek God for the answer. I think that's the purpose of a parable. Not to just be like A, B, okay, that's it. No, when you want the answer, you have to seek God, because in God will you find the answer. You know, you just can't go on a questionnaire or something and then get all the answers to life. Or like, especially with God, like you have to seek him for those things. So, yeah.
Well, the last thing I have to say before, I guess, Ashton or Trey closes out, y'all can figure that out, is the main takeaway is life is a journey. Jesus didn't just pop up as a whole man and descend down from heaven and do what he had to do. He had to start from birth, grow up, be human, work a job, before he fulfilled his purpose. So it's not just about Jesus died for our sins. We also need to pay attention to the fact that he didn't just die, but he lived. He was a baby. He was a boy. He was a preteen, a teen, and the list goes on. It was a journey, and I think that's the part that we lose sight of, because his life was a standard. His death was a sacrifice that we didn't earn or deserve, but he did it because he loved us. But his life is just the example of what our lives should look like. And like I say, he ain't just teleport down there and was like, let me die for these people right quick and then dip out. No. He waited years and years and years before he got to where God needed him to be just for us. So, who's closing us out?
Before we do that, though, anybody else have any final thoughts?
Oh, yeah.
Would you have some final thoughts?
Well, yeah, I would just like to say that, when you think about Jesus' life, you can see that he came here on a mission. First of all, it was so that he could do miracles, gain followers, and then establish the church through his disciples, so that, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, so that, we can then go on to live a life that emulates him, because, as Christians, we're supposed to be, little Christ or Christ-like. So don't just think of his life leading up to death, that he died for our sins. He tried to put different things in place for us to live our lives aside from just us seeking redemption at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, that's the point I was trying to make.
That's literally beautiful.
Great
That's
point.
literally the entirety. You could just drop your mic at this point. Just,
Symbolic.
yeah, that was perfect.
But yeah, thanks everybody for just tuning in and for watching, for those on YouTube. And we just appreciate this opportunity of just sharing just words of wisdom and just insight and knowledge, because us doing this, we're learning at the same time and growing together with each other. And I'm sure some of these points are some new things that some new information that you're also probably hearing for the first time too. And it's just a great experience for us to just be blossoming and growing in this time together. Because,
Amen.
yeah, because pre, post, or current pandemic times, like everybody, I guess, distancing and social distancing, but we don't actually have to be socially distant. Like, we could still communicate, relate, talk to each other, Bible study, I guess you could say, and just be a family from afar or close up. But you've been tuning into More Than Conversation, and it's your boy Ash. So, yeah, you see, take it easy and just be you. Live life. Take it one step at a time. Peace.
What he really meant to say was our Instagram link.
That's not what I meant to say. I said exactly what I meant to say.
Anyway, I guess that's how Ash
All
wants to
right.
close out. Y'all
Yeah,
can
yeah.
hit up the description box to follow us
just-
on Instagram.
Like,
and
when you're
stuff
watching
like
the show and they don't close you out the regular way because it's so, like, it was so in tune. Like, they just...
I guess
they
we'll
just
go
show
with
the
that.
they just show the credits.
That's what you were going through?
Yeah.
You're going
Oh,
for it?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
on that note, guys.
It's MTC.
Yeah, this
Good
one
vibes in the
this
air.
one was deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as Ashton says, don't like, comment, or subscribe. Just receive the word.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
just
receive the word. All right.
No, you have to.
On that note, bye, guys.